Hey guys, I have a lot of opinions about Disney, specifically Disney's remakes, because I think that for a long time Disney had put out like banger after banger after banger. I mean, we all were there for it. I mean, maybe not all of us, depending on how young or old you are. But there was a time where Disney really couldn't miss, and there was a time when Pixar folded into Disney, couldn't really miss. But across like the last 15 years, maybe 10, it has been very hit or miss. But with Disney specifically, some of the, I think, the most annoying IPs and movies and just pretty much anything that they've put out are these live action remakes. I remember when they first started announcing these, and I remember like being excited to go see like Maleficent, just because I love Angelina Jolie as an actress, and I thought it was kind of cool to get like a female villain's perspective as her being centered in the movie. And Maleficent was fine, but so many of these Disney live actions are just soulless and weird. And I almost feel like I have to have seen Lilo and Stitch to be able to make a commentary on this, but I just haven't, and I just have no interest in it. And what really gets me is that there is a movie that should be made live action that Disney has the full capability of doing, but for some reason they just refuse. And it's Atlantis. I have made a full video on it on like the main channel, and the reason that I wanted to talk about it today is because I have seen this probably like a dozen times, but there is a fan-made live action trailer on YouTube. You all might have seen it, and I wanted to watch it with you guys. One, just to be able to geek out, and two, to be able to kind of discuss why this actually works as a concept where a bunch of the other movies just plain don't. So here it is.
Try to keep up, son. Made a discovery, did we?
An arrowhead?
An artifact containing secrets from another age. All you need to do is look closer.
Milo James Thatch, I need you to come with me. And this time I'm not asking.
Milo, my boy. Your granddad was a very secretive man. His last secret, he entrusted to you.
This journal is the key to finding the lost continent of Atlantis.
Go, hey, easy. Don't jinx it.
First time out in open sea?
It's not gonna be like this the whole way, will it?
I don't know. You're the one with the map.
Attention on deck. Mr. Thatch is going to educate us on the details of our expedition. Tell me, what do you expect to find down there?
Of these silly fairy tales. If you would please describe the digging.
We're all gonna die.
It's all waiting for you, Milo. Atlantis is waiting.
The fact that this is fan-made makes me so angry. So of course, as you guys see, this is the amazing channel that did this. Go and support, go watch it, please. But it's just plainly phenomenal. And I think there are some like fundamental aspects and reasons why Atlantis can work as a live action and why so many of these other Disney movies don't. But a lot of the reasons that the live action films don't work is because of how animation doesn't necessarily translate into like real world photorealistic CGI and live action. Like obviously I don't have to explain this to you guys. When this movie first came out, like The Lion King, everybody noticed immediately that like the lions couldn't emote because like they're like photorealistic lions. And when you have animation, you can do so much more with faces, with exaggerated expressions. Brad Bird, who is a, you know, genius level mastermind, he was behind a ton of great animated works, always talked about animation being about exaggeration, being about caricature. And it's just plain to see that one of the things you can't do with photorealism and live action is have that same type of like feel and convey that same type of message, right? Like obviously we can see this with Lilo and Stitch. Like, is Stitch still very cute? 100%. Is Lilo like still very cute? 100%. But when we start to compare Lilo and Stitch as a movie, as an art piece, as like a medium to be able to convey kind of like emotions and thoughts and messages, it kind of doesn't compare, right? Like we can very clearly see, I mean, just from like all the watercolor backgrounds, the style of animation, like the little nuances in, again, the exaggerations of the character, how they fit on the frame, they're not the same. And I think a big reason that so many of these movies come out and don't, I think, live up to the original source material that they're based off of is because they're not really being made, at least from the outside view, with an intentionality to be artistic in mind. It very much seems like Disney, while I think maybe genuinely trying to make good movies, is making these movies to make money, right? And this is not to say that I'm delusional enough to think that the original Lilo and Stitch wasn't released to make money. Of course it was. But I think that making an original movie, especially in the time frame that this movie was released in, to tell a story about family and togetherness, I think, or I should say, I think requires like real artistry and heart. Whereas I think creating a live action remake of a movie, all that really requires is trying to cash in on nostalgia for those people who have seen it before, and then the urge for them to show it to their kids. But the part that I don't really understand is, well, it's not even understand, I know exactly why it happens. It's not like the first Lilo and Stitch doesn't exist anymore. They could just show it to their kids, right? This is, I think, literally made so that people can go see a movie that is near and dear to their heart, just in like with a new shiny coat of paint. And because of that, it's the same thing that happens to all Disney live action movies. It's nobody asks for these. Nobody is thinking, oh, I want to see that beautiful animation turned into real life with like CGI. Like, I genuinely can't think of literally anybody who's like, yeah, you know, Aladdin with like the shape shifting over the top freaking Robin Williams genie. Yeah, let's make that live action and let's make him Will Smith. Like, and I know I'm kind of harping on this, but this is like, I think like a really big deal when you make art is that if there isn't an actual real audience that can, I think, be invested in the thing that you're making, why are you making it? Like, and again, I know it's just for money. I'm kind of like rhetorically going off here, but the reason I bring this up is that even though 99% of these movies people don't ask for or even think that they would exist, like no one thought that a freaking Lion King prequel would exist. The movie that everybody is asking for is Atlantis. Like, Atlantis has been fan casted for like years. People have been asking for Atlantis. Like, you can just look through the internet and see how long people have been asking for this movie to be made into live action. Again, I have an entire freaking video, Atlantios, yes. I have an entire freaking video like breaking down how beloved this movie is and how Disney thought it was a mistake, but it turned out to be better than I think they possibly could have expected, like the reception. And it's, I think, just like blows my mind that Disney will think up reasons to create live actions and just throw a bunch of like star power at them, like how The Lion King had like what freaking Donald Glover, Seth Rogen, Chiwetel Ejiofor, freaking like I think Beyonce was in the movie. And again, all of these people are like really talented artists and actors, but a large part of what draws people in to see these movies isn't even like the movies themselves. Again, it's like seeing what they love with a shiny coat of paint, and for people to literally be asking to see Atlantis with a shiny coat of paint, but like for Disney to refuse to do it all these years, maybe they're hiding it, I don't know, is like crazy to me. And the other part that I think really dives into why I think Atlantis can work where so many of these other films fail is because live action innately makes things more dramatic and grounded. That's like the beauty of animation, is that you can use animation and the exaggerations that are accompanied with it to like really have like levity and silliness. And animation can be serious too, don't get me wrong, but like there is, I think, something really special about how cartoons can really control and shift a mood, whereas live action, everything is based in our reality, and when things are photorealistic, you can't get away with much. That's why freaking, like, for example, in the movies, Bleakley and Chumba can dress like this and just be considered ugly people, but like in the live action, there's just no way, like there's no possible way that they could just be considered human, so they have to change them completely, which kind of like takes away a bit of like the fun from like the characters. It makes them a lot less interesting to even see on screen because they're just people instead of being actual aliens. And that is, I think, so much of a problem with so many of these movies, is that like all the wonder and joy and kind of like whimsy that comes with animation is kind of like lost when you make it live action, because everything becomes a lot more serious and grounded and dramatized. And there's some movies, I think, like, you know, Lion King would be an example of like a very dramatic movie, but when they just like, I think, fumbled because they did not know how to properly, you know, actually make it. Like, this is just fan made and this would have been better. But even movies like this that are more dramatic, I think need a super deft touch. But you know what movie can still be like live action and be super dramatic and not lose anything because it already is kind of like catered towards a realistic, grounded conflict? Freaking Atlantis. The whole movie is just a group of people finding Atlanteans and literally going to war. Like, you don't even need super like exaggerated animation to translate into live action, because it's just there. Like in this trailer, like we can just see everything just like works super well. Like, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful, it translates like 1-to-1. And that's, I think, a reason so many other live action movies from Disney just kind of like fall by the wayside or don't live up to people's like expectations if they don't, I think, perfectly hit the kind of nostalgia that they're looking for, is because Disney is animation. That's like the whole point. That's what they're so good at. And so to make something that was once animation turn into live action, but without adding anything, I think, to it, or the things that they add to it being things that people didn't want, I think completely loses the plot, no pun intended, of why you even make movies and live action movies in the first place. But I think Atlantis is one of those films that not only people want, but it can survive the transition between the mediums. And I am way more invested than I should be, because obviously I've been talking about this for basically 15 minutes now. But it just boggles my mind, because there are, I think, so many reasons for this to be a thing, and it's just not. And if there's anything that I have to complain about over and over and over again until I'm blue in the face, it's going to be the fact that for some reason, paradoxically, we don't have a live action Atlantis. So I hope I could commiserate with you all successfully, because you know this made me feel better, and hopefully my ranting and raving into the ether will eventually reach Disney's ears and they'll be able to do something with this. I'm not holding my breath though.